Thank you, Teresa.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here. So, today we are going to talk about Connect Enterprise Hub. You might have seen a bit of this in Param's keynote. It's actually a new product that we're going to launch. I could say that we're going to launch many products in the next period. This one is safe to say that that is my favorite out of those. So, we are going to start this session with a question addressed to each one of you. The question that we have for you today is, how are you scaling beyond the low-hanging fruits? We all know that RPA is pretty easy to start with. I mean, you find a few low-hanging fruits, you automate those, you see the benefits. That would probably take somewhere between 6 to 9 months. That's the easy part. Sometimes it's a bit harder to scale beyond that point. It's a bit harder to scale beyond that point because the next candidates may not be so obvious. Because your COE team might not point you to the right candidates because maybe your subject matter experts would have better ideas of processes that can be automated for your company. Here comes Connect Enterprise Hub that aims to solve this problem. It's not only this problem that we try to solve with this tool. We also try to solve many other problems that we've seen in the life cycle of RPA within a company. So this tool, first of all, helps you with the global adoption of RPA within your company because it creates a community of RPA developers, of business analysts, of subject matter experts, of all the people involved in RPA. Anyone can be part of this community. It allows you to create a consistent and controlled environment for RPA within your company. It's going to centralize the pipeline of automation. So imagine that you have different COEs, imagine that you have different departments that are going to produce automation ideas. It's bringing everything in one place for you. And it's allowing your management team to take the correct decisions. What are we going to automate next? It provides you, of course, instant visibility on the status of the different processes, in what stage they are they already implemented, what's the return of investment for the processes that you have already automated, how are they working, do you have any errors, do you have any exceptions. It also provides a place to store best practices, to store process documentation, to store the code for RPA, to store, for example, process design documents, solution design documents, anything that's related to the automation. So to sum everything up, what is Connect Enterprise Hub? Connect Enterprise Hub is a cloud-based solution. So this is a cloud application that allows you to identify pipeline candidates for automation, allows you to manage your automation pipeline, store process documentation, store code, and it also allows you to create a community and to leverage reusable components. The next question might be, who is going to benefit from Connect Enterprise? Well, we have different personas, right? We have the COE owners and their teams that are going to be part of this initiative. We have the C-level suite. They would want to see the benefits of the RPA implementation. They would like to see the return of investment. They have reports exactly for this in the platform, which you are going to see in a few moments. Then we have any employee within the company that has an automation idea that can actually use Connect Enterprise Hub to submit their idea, which is going to then be received by the COE team, be analyzed, be approved, and be implemented. Now, the way that we have structured the platform, we have 6 modules. We might plan to add more because this is a modular application that put together create the platform that we're talking about. We have the opportunity identification pipeline. Here you could see all the candidates, approve them, reject them, move them to production, move them to development, and so on. You then have the ROI calculator module, which I'm sure you will find extremely interesting. Then you have the repository for any documentation related to the process. You have the reusable component gallery. Let me make a small break here and talk a bit about reusable components and the problem, the inherent problem with reusable components. There are many ways of addressing reusable components, and throughout my experience, I've seen For example, people using spreadsheets in order to control their reusable components, to have a list of those, to give them to their developers. Now, what happens with a spreadsheet, the problem, is that when you typically change a core application, let's say that you move to another version of SAP, some of our applications, some of our automations are going to be affected by this. Now, if you only have an Excel file with the reusable components, you are never going to know what automations are going to be affected. With Connect Enterprise, the tool, the platform, is going to give you a list of all the automations that use the reusable component, of all the automations that touch a particular application. So you will know what you have to check whenever you upgrade one of your core applications. We have the community that's built around this platform. You will see that you have user profiles, you have gamification, you have different features in order to create a very strong community. And then, of course, you have the reporting tools that will show the performance of your AirPlay implementation. So now let's move to the fun part. Let's see the product demo.
Thank you, Alex. It's so great for me to be here today, especially because this morning I woke up and I thought I will not have a voice anymore. But if it were to lose my voice today, these are the great 20 minutes of the day for me, because it's a great opportunity for me to present the product that we have been working on for the past 6 months, I think so. So just like I showcased this morning, it all starts with the idea that we want to provide a platform for the regular employees who are performing the manual repetitive tasks to come in here and to express which are the tasks that they would like to have automated. Just like David was saying earlier, you have to think about those persons and provide them the space where they can do that. So with Connect Enterprise Hub, what we designed was a space where you can submit the idea and you can answer a set of 9 questions expressed in a familiar language, describing the process that they would like to have it automated. So maybe, Alex, we can start with that scenario.
Okay.
Let's imagine this time that I'm not a person from HR, but I'm a person from finance who is processing invoices, electronic invoices. And I would like to start the experience by describing shortly the process. So maybe, Alex, you can help me with a short description?
Okay, so we are processing invoices.
Yes.
We are processing digital invoices.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me describe it. Digital process invoicing by email. Perfect. How should we call it?
Let's call it invoice processing, and I'll pick a country, Australia.
Okay, nice.
Why I always pick a country? Because usually invoice processing is a process that is good to be automated and happens in every country. So maybe there are other colleagues from other countries who submitted similar ideas, and we're going to look in the automation pipeline, we can find the other processes and get inspired from them, from their experience. Next, we have to position this idea that I have in a process taxonomy. And this is a finance and accounting, accounts payable, and invoice processing.
Can you add more categories to this?
You can actually personalize, customize these 3 levels. We come with a built-in template, but you can customize it because every organization needs to have whatever suits for them. Then we enter into a set of more RPA-related questions, and we focus on whether the process that we're describing is rule-based or not.
It's pretty much rule-based.
I agree.
It's actually very rule-based because you take the information from the invoices, you process it, you put it in your system, right?
Next, we can focus on whether the input data is digital or not. And as I was saying, we're using electronic invoices, so it's very much digital.
Okay.
Then we focus whether the process uses structured data or not. We are having invoices from different suppliers, so it's not the same pattern everywhere, so I would say it's pretty much structured.
Okay.
And me as a business user, as far as I know, it will not face any change the process the way I'm performing it in the next 6 months.
Why is this important?
It's important because if you have a process that's going to face some change, especially major changes, you would want to avoid it into entering and automating the process at this point. You would first wait to change it, and then you start automating it.
Okay.
One last thing is whether I have access to any documentation. I'm a business user, so I do work with input-output files, and I do have access to a standard operating procedure.
Okay, so this is going to help me on the long run because it's easier to automate a process for which I have documentation, I'm assuming.
If you're a business analyst and you're working on a process design document, for certain you are going to appreciate this documentation. One last question is to nominate who is the process owner for the process I'm describing, because this person is going to be invited to fill in a more detailed questionnaire, the more detailed survey in a detailed assessment phase. You can review the content, and if everything looks great, you can submit the idea, and let's see what happens.
It worked.
I'm not surprised by
I'm
that.
not surprised.
It should work. Okay, so the output of the flow is the fact that we have an automation idea, and we have a high-level assessment whether this idea is a good candidate or not to have it automated using RPA. The score that we obtained, it was 92%, that's pretty good. And me as a submitter, I'll get notified when things change in the status of the idea. Now, I see that Alex showed you already the automation pipeline, but I think we are going to come back to it a bit later.
Okay.
What I wanted to focus on right now was actually the use case that we're building, because once I submitted the idea, it goes through a curation process such that the direct manager can eliminate the potential duplicates. This is a risk indeed. And once the ideas are approved by the direct manager that they're not duplicates, they're going to evolve into building a use case that can be consumed by everybody. And by use case, we use the word or the concept of automation profile page, because over there we bring together all the automation artifacts in one single place. So do you want to show an example, Alex, maybe?
Sure. Let me refresh this page. So we have expense reports posting for UK.
Yes, we moved from Australia to UK, pretty close. So it all started with the information collected from the submitter. And then if we scroll down a bit, we see the detailed assessment that I was talking about earlier, that a process owner or subject matter expert would fill in order to get a more detailed view around the process. Now it focuses on the environmental stability, on the process volumetry, on the process ways of working, on the format for the data input, and also on the applications which are being used. Because just like Alex said earlier, it's important to know what applications, in case of an upgrade, what automations are going to be impacted by those upgrades. So by collecting the information early on, it helps not only into performing an assessment, but also into getting notified later if something changes in the applications. We also have some text fields to collect the benefits, the challenges, the lessons learned, because this use case should be a knowledge sharing for other persons or other specialists who are going to implement something similar. And we have the possibility to link the automation profile to other similar automations. Just like I was saying earlier, invoice processing from UK, from US, Australia, maybe we have some similar patterns over there. All the information that is collected in the detailed assessment is going to be used to compute the automation potential, the ease of implementation, and the expected benefits for 1 year, displayed over there in the chart.
I can actually go in and I can like this or follow it.
Yes, that's a layer of community that you were presenting earlier. So if you want to get notifications around what happens with this automation, then maybe following it, it's a good idea. And also you can show your support by liking the page itself.
Let's do that.
Okay, what should we focus on next, Alex?
Cost benefit?
Yeah, let's do the cost-benefit analysis. So for some of you, maybe that's the ROI calculator. The cost-benefit analysis is a space where the project manager who is going to be assigned on the automation can come in here, select the costs which are applicable for that automation, and provide visibility to the program manager on what is the return on investment for this automation. Because we showcase in here the net benefits expected for the first and the second year. Usually an automation has a life cycle of 2 years. Can you also show a bit the edit mode? Because I wanted to highlight a bit the complexity of things over there. Complex, but yet easy to use. Okay. So the idea in here is that it starts with a project plan where we say, what is the estimated timeline for having the automation implemented, divided by phases. And afterwards, we move more into depth and we select what kind of vendor do we use for implementing this automation, because Connect Enterprise Hub is a platform-agnostic platform. So if you want to select something else than UiPath, you can do it, but we invite you to use UiPath, of course. You select whether it's an attended or unattended automation, and then we move into the cost part, where we say which costs do we use for the implementation part, like with the persons, the profiles involved. Afterwards, the RPA software costs, other software costs, maintenance, infrastructure, support, whatever is applicable. What is important to notice is that over here, we just select which ones are applicable, and we say for how many days or what percentage is valid in this case. But the costs are actually established at the platform level in a cost setup section by the RPA program manager. Once we save this view and we go back into the view mode for the cost-benefit analysis, not only that we see a project plan, which highlights what was the estimation before having it implemented and what was the reality afterwards, but we also have a comparison between what the algorithm estimated in terms of automation potential and ease of implementation, and what was the reality when we have it implemented based on the experience of the RPA developers. And as mentioned in the right side, we have a net benefit analysis divided pre-automation and post-automation for 2 years. Next, maybe we can focus a bit on the documentation. This is a place where we bring the as-is and to-be documentation, whether it's documentation collected from the submitter, or maybe it's the documentation collected from the implementation team, like process design documents, solution design documents, development specification documents. But what is also important in here is the fact that we have some templates available. The platform itself comes with some templates, but every organization has the possibility to customize these templates and expose whatever is applicable for the organization itself. Next, if we focus on components, just like Alex mentioned earlier, it's important to be aware what reusable components are available in the platform. RPA developers can come in here and connect Enterprise Hub, upload reusable components. They'll go through a curation process, depends on what levels of security you have in your organization, and the RPA program manager will decide what gets exposed towards the entire community in here in this tenant. So by having access to reusable components, an RPA developer can come at the level of the automation profile and specify exactly what reusable components were used in order to save time. This one not only helps us because afterwards, when we're going to modify a certain component, because maybe we have a new version, maybe something changed in the application that we're interacting with this component, we also have a view in here in the component profile of what automations are actually using this reusable component, and we can perform the required changes in order to make sure that the automation itself will not be impacted very much. And maybe if we go back to the automation profile to focus on the last section, these are the collaborators. These are the persons who made this automation a reality. It all started with a submitter. Afterwards, it continued with the process owner who filled in the detailed assessment. And then we had the implementation team, which was formed by project managers, by RPA business analysts, by solution architect, by an RPA developer for certain. We see them in there. We can go and check their profiles. We can also communicate with them because we have the possibility of tagging them in comments and asking for more details around this automation, and not only.
Let's see your profile.
Okay.
Let's see what Julia does.
Okay, I don't like to brag about my profile, but you can imagine that if I'm doing a lot of demos, I have a lot of activity in here. So in a user profile, you'll be able to see all the automations that were, automation ideas that were submitted, or the collaborations around an automation where they are part of, the documentation that was uploaded or embedded, also the reusable components that the user uploads. But also, because we have a gamification system, we see the rewards that were granted to this user for the activity. In this case, we're talking about badges and achievements, and we also see that I have a certain level, what it says over there, advanced beginner. So I still have to work on a bit to get more activity and to progress into the level. Okay, so that was the user profile. Maybe we should get back to the automation pipeline,
Okay.
because I don't want us to forget about the COE. So the COE is the one who needs to take informed decision about what needs to be implemented. And in here, in the automation pipeline, we gather all the automation ideas, either if it's coming from a bottom-up approach with the help of the employees, or if it's coming from a top-down approach, focusing on specific areas or using more scientific-driven approaches, we gather them in here in the automation pipeline. And the program manager has a responsibility to action on certain items at certain moments in order to have those ideas progress towards having them automated. In the case of a decision pipeline, in this view, we bring all the automations that were assessed and which are waiting for a decision whether they're going to be moved into implementation or not. We have this visualization in here where we can split them by the ease of implementation. And we also have the second visualization, the second chart on the right side, where we can focus not only on the ease of implementation, but also on the automation potential and the expected benefits. By applying filters, By establishing certain thresholds in terms of expected benefits, a program manager can take fast and informed decision and spot the opportunities, the synergistic opportunities, and perform bulk approvals in case he/she wants something to be moved to implementation. And one last thing to showcase in the product, that's the part that I love most, is the automation program performance dashboards. Because when it comes to managing an RPA program, you don't want to just manage automations, but you want to go back to your main stakeholders and present the progress of the RPA program. So in here, in the automation program performance dashboards, we have a first visualization on the left side where we see the progress of the automation pipeline divided by months. We see which items were approved for implementations, which ones are currently in implementation, or which ones went live at the end of each month. And we see the progress. So in here, it's a positive trend. We are on a good place, Alex. On the other side, on the right side, we have the 1-year expected benefits. That means that is a snapshot of a current situation from our pipeline. We can see in here that we have a lot of items which are approved for implementation, but we didn't start working on them. We have some items which are already live and helping us save money, and also have some items which are currently in implementation. All this, it tells us that if it were to release all these automation ideas live today, then we would save more than $21 million because of the automation. And I think that's about it from my side, so I'll let Alex carry on with a nice speech around the product itself.
Thank you so much, Julia. So going back to the slides, you've seen the demo. Now let's recap for a moment what you've seen. You've seen how to capture automation opportunities. You have a form within Connect Enterprise Hub that you can send to the users within your organization, you can send to the business analysts, and you can capture different automation ideas that you can then review, and you can manage them from the pipeline of automations. You would see the benefits in the ROI calculator, which is extremely powerful because you are going to have a health check for your RPA implementation. Of course, you then have the area of reusable components. The benefit of that is that you would see exactly where you reuse those components and what would be affected in case you want to change some of the components. And then you have the whole platform that gives you the possibility to curate, standardize, and govern your RPA across the company. Now, let's talk a bit about the life cycle of this application, because we have tried a pilot with this. We have tried it as a private preview for some of our customers. And as you can see on the slide, we have tried it in different industries so far. We have tried it with 33 customers. And maybe, Julia, you can tell us, what did we learn from all of this?
So these were 3 incredible months for us. And I don't know whether in here there are already customers who use the product. If yes, thank you very much for the entire experience of the private preview, because it really helped us into building the product even better than it was. We received valuable feedback on what features we should focus on, what should we improve, what should we focus also for the future, not only right now for the general availability release. So having this kind of exchanges with the customers, it was valuable for us, first of all, and the feedback that we got, it was that the product itself brought a lot of benefits for the customers also.
Not to mention, not to forget that also our internal COE is using this.
Indeed, we are using it, and we just rolled out the product actually to the entire company. So we're more than 3,000 UiPathers who are using Connect Enterprise Hub today in order to submit ideas of what tasks, what processes to have automated.
Also for a few testimonials from the people that have already tried it from the customer side. One is mentioning the unified platform experience that they have with Connect Enterprise, and the other one is using the increased speed that they are seeing with Connect Enterprise. So not only that RPA makes things faster, Connect Enterprise also helps in achieving this. So to sum this up, Julia, what are the next steps?
So the next steps are that in about 2 weeks, the product is going to be made available such that you can start a 60-day free trial in less than 2 minutes. What we recommend is to go on the UiPath website. We have a dedicated page for Connect Enterprise Hub. Register your interest over there, and once the product becomes available in less than 2 weeks, you are going to get a notification. You can go to the page, fill in a form, and you can create your own tenant and start using Connect Enterprise Hub.
And we also have a booth.
Indeed, join us at the booth. It's in the Monet space. We are more than happy to answer your questions, to show you certain functionalities more in depth, and to exchange ideas around Connect Enterprise Hub and how it can help you.
Let's go to the booth. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you also.